Hi, I'm Bob Patetta, and I'm here to present some music, the music of New Orleans, and I want to discuss its importance in the origin and propagation of rock and roll music and American music in general. And I want to let you know how much New Orleans music provides the roots to American music, the real roots of American music. I want to thank the Wadsworth Public Library, Thomas Siegel, and Ormaco, the Ohio Regional Music and Cultural Outreach, for making this presentation possible. So as you know, Jambalaya is a New Orleans mainstay. It's a genuine New Orleans tune, right? No, wrong. Actually, it was written by Hank Williams Sr. And Hank Williams Sr. is considered by many the father of country music. So what does country music have to do with New Orleans and rock and roll music? Well, everything. For one thing, rock and roll is generally acknowledged to have three legs that it stands on. That is country music, the blues, and gospel music. Second of all, Hank Williams has plenty to do with New Orleans. Actually, he was born in Shreveport, and he often performed on the radio show, the Louisiana Hayride, but he still was basically a country music star, and he was influential on rock and roll music more through the fact that he was the country honky-tonk influence. But as far as those three legs are concerned, the blues is an important part that we're going to look at now. Blues has its roots in African music, and it is through African music that New Orleans gains its importance. A lot of slaves came over through the east coast of the United States, through Charleston, Savannah, and other ports. But a lot of slaves came into the United States through New Orleans, through the Caribbean. They came from places like Haiti and Cuba, and also indirectly from Africa, actually. And a lot of this African music finds its way into American music. The blues, of course, has its roots in that, and it has its roots in the songs that the Africans would sing when they were working in the fields. Work songs, field hollers, things of that nature. And right now I'm going to perform one of those. I'm going to lose the guitar for a moment. And I'm just going to use a harmonica. So this is the sound of a work song. And this was first recorded by Leadbelly. Old boys can't ride, doggone right. All I hear about line and track, feel those rails about to break my back. Oh boys, get your line and track. Oh boys, get your line and track. Oh boys, get your line and track. Feel those rails about to break my back. Mary and the babe was sitting in the shade, thinking about the money that I made. Oh boys, line and track. Oh boys, get your line and track. Oh boys, can't you line and track? Feel those rails breaking my back. Down in the hollow below that field, angels are working on the chariot wheel. Oh boys, can't you line the track like a oh boys, line that track. Said oh boys, line that track. Feel those rails about to break my back. stood on the Red Sea shore, beating out the rhythms with the 2x4. Oh boys, line the track. Oh boys, can't line that track. I said, oh boys, line the track. Feel those rails about to break my back. Now if I could, you know I would stand on the rock where Moses stood. Oh boys, can't line the track like. Oh boys, can't line that track. Oh boys, can't line the track. Feel those rails about to break my back. I said, huh. Ha! Woo! Hey, huh, hey. Singing, oh boys, can't line them, doggone right. All I hear about lining track, feel those rails about to break my back. Wow. All right now. So there's a field holler. And as I was talking about, slaves used to sing those in the fields. And when they get together, they would sing these songs. They'd sing whatever songs they had, songs from their traditions. A lot of them were call and response songs, like that one actually is. And they were coming from different parts of Africa and synthesizing all these different rhythms and musics that they brought over. Now, during the 18th century in New Orleans, a law was enacted in Louisiana giving slaves the day off on Sundays. Strange as it may seem, if Louisiana, of course, was a very Catholic country, Catholic state, and they don't even have counties; they have parishes like the Catholic Church does. And so, being as Christian as they were down there, they thought it was only right that there should be no work on Sunday. Well, when they did this, as time went on, it turned out that Sunday became a day with lots of singing and dancing and partying all around the city. The city fathers decided, well, that's not so hot, so we're going to restrict all of the music to one location, and that's going to be Congo Square. On Sunday, the slaves can get together and have their fun and dance and sing and worship and do whatever they wanted to do. Well, the interesting thing is that this helped to synthesize all that music. They would all come together, hear each other's music rather than just on their own plantations, farms, and the different plazas where they hung out. And Congo Square became the happening place. Even free blacks went there. Whites would come down to see what was going on. Even tourists. There was a large influx of people from Haiti after the Haitian Revolution, and these were Haitians and Creoles. There was an influx from Cuba. Everybody would hear everybody else's music, and so we start to get this ferment where the New Orleans sound is starting to form. Now, right now, I'm going to give you a little bit of music theory. First, I'm going to introduce my wife, Jan, who's going to help me out on this. Here she comes, making her way over here.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Jan. Jan's a piano player, and she's going to help me because I can't play everything myself. So one of the things I'm going to talk about, this is a big part of what we're talking about today, is a rhythm from the Caribbean that is known as La Habanera. Now, the La Habanera was actually a Spanish rhythm. And it's, I'm going to show you what it sounds like. If you take an 8-note or an 8-beat phrase, an 8-beat bar, it could be a 4-beat bar or a 2-beat bar. I'm going to break it into 8s, and you have 1, 8, right? So we're going to go fast. We're going to go. 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now what the habanera rhythm is, it accents for those beats. It accents the 1, the 4, the 5, and a 7. So it sounds like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Beautiful, thank you. And that, of course, was La Habanera, written by Bizet for his opera Carmen, which was about a Spanish lady. The great jazz pianist and composer Jelly Roll Morton from New Orleans called this the Spanish tinge in New Orleans music. There are many, many rock and roll and pop songs written with this rhythm. Oddly enough, it doesn't, you listen to it and you think, wow, it's Spanish music. But a lot of rock is based right on it. And let's look at the Drifters, great band, probably my favorite doo-wop group anyway. They were the pinnacle of doo-wop. And they would do songs like Save the Last Dance for Me, and also Under the Boardwalk. And this has a Latin sounding rhythm when you think about it. Let's see, it's something like... When the sun goes down, melts the tar upon the roof, and the sand gets so hot you wish your tired feet were fireproof. Under the boardwalk, down by the sea, yeah, on the blanket with my baby is where I'll be. Under the boardwalk. So there you go. That's Under the Boardwalk. That was a huge hit, and it certainly had that La Habanera rhythm to it. There are many more. One I'm going to talk about is how what I want to talk about is the way it loses that Latin feel when you disguise it with a rock and roll rhythm, a driving rhythm. Phil Spector used it a lot. I just realized that. I've been thinking about this, and I realized, oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite beats in the Phil Spector Wall of Sound. Songs like Be My Baby and He's a Rebel both had the habanera rhythm. You think about those big drums in the song and went boom, 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 boom. That's habanera rhythm. That some of the faster songs had it too. He's a Rebel was one of those. And you don't associate these songs with Bizet or Carmen. Another area I found this to be influential and important is it is hidden in a lot of faster beats too. I was listening to I was dial surfing actually, and I was dial surfing Sub-Saharan African radio. You can do this. There's an app that's great that allows you to listen to radio stations from all over the world. And I realized that many of the songs I was hearing had this habanera rhythm in a fast form. It was like a... there you go. Doesn't matter if you listen to music from Senegal, Mali, Ghana, Nigeria, they all have that beat. And Jan heard me doing this the other day and she said, aha, Santana. I went, oh yeah, of course. Soul Sacrifice by Santana has that beat. It even has that in the melody. It goes da 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 da. That da 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 is a stretched out habanera over a fast habanera. It's habanera on habanera. So the next important step I want to talk about is a further refinement of this. It's also straight out of Africa. It's called the tresillo, which is a Spanish word, and basically it means triplet. And what we've done is we've taken those 4 accents, 1, 4, 5, and 7, and we've removed one of them. We've dropped the accent that's on beat 5 rather, and so now we have 1, 4, and 7, and it sounds different. It gives it a syncopated, more swinging, less square feeling, and it divides the 8 bars, or the 8 beats, into 3 beats, 3 beats, and 2 beats, those things. So here's your, it's a 1, 4, 7, 1. That's it. Hey, I wonder, keep that up, Jan. I wonder what jambalaya would sound like when we do it with the New Orleans signature tresillo beat. I think it'll sound like pretty good. Goodbye, Joe. We gotta go. Be on my own. We gotta go and pull the road down the bow. My bone, Jesus, sweetest one. Be on my own. Son of a gun, gonna have big fun on the bow. Hey, jambalaya, crawfish. right, Jambalaya. Lead singer of the Drifters, Benny King, had his own hit when he went off on his own with a song called Stand By Me. This was written again by people from the Brill Building, which was a specific building in New York City where all the great songwriters hung out and worked together. And we're talking about Lieber and Stoller, who wrote for the Coasters, Carole King with her husband Jerry Goffin and King, Man and Weil, and these were great songs. They would experiment with all these different beats and come up with hits because they sounded a little bit different. Now, Stand By Me is a Trecio rhythm, but we're adding beat number 8. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's hear a little bit on the piano here, Jan. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, the night has come and the land is dark. Is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Stand by me, won't you stand by me, stand by me, stand by me. All right, we actually stopped together. Cool. So this was a big hit, and there were many more like this. If you start looking at this, if you start looking at rock and roll, especially through this period, it's like when you buy a new car. You buy a blue Subaru, and you go drive around, and all of a sudden it seems like everywhere you turn, people are driving blue Subarus. It's just natural. But there are a lot of songs like that. And when we talk about the Drifters again, they had another hit that became an even bigger hit for George Benson. And again, it had a variation again on this Trecio rhythm. Right now, one of the things that we're doing now is, in one way, we're going to leave out the 7 and the 8. Well, everything after the 4, it's just 1 and 4 are accented strongly with other little flares added in between, so it sounds like this. You want to start out, Jen?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so good. They say the neon lights are bright on Broadway. They say there's always magic in the air. But when you're walking down the street and you ain't had enough to eat, glitter rubs right off in your nose. On Broadway, I'm gonna be a big, big star on Broadway. So there are other songs that use the Trecio rhythm that have little or no Latin feel at all. There are a number of examples like that. First one I think that comes to mind is Turn On Your Love Light, which was recorded by Bobby Bland and also made by the Blues Brothers, featured in their movie, and the Grateful Dead did it too, and it sounded sort of... Turn on your light, let shine on me. Turn on your love light, shine on me. Something vaguely like that, very vaguely. And then the most famous example is Hound Dog. That was written by Lieber and Stoller, They were a Brill Building team. We mentioned the Brill Building in New York earlier. They wrote for the Coasters and a whole lot of other famous acts. And in 1953, they wrote this song for Big Mama Willie Mae Thornton. And she was a big sassy blues player, and in the Ma Rainey mold. And she recorded this, and it went right to #1 on the R&B charts, sold 1 million copies. Billboard called it a rumba blues, but most white people didn't hear it because it only played on the R&B stations. So anyway, Elvis Presley recorded it, as we all know, in 1956. Turned out to be his biggest hit. When he recorded it, of course, they cleaned up all the double entendres in the lyrics. They sanitized it. But the other important change that happened was Elvis's guitar player, Scotty Moore, put a more insistent rock and roll beat behind it on his rhythm guitar. So it's going to sound something like this. Said you was high class, that was a lie. I said you was high class, that was a lie. Yeah, you never called a rabbit, you ain't no friend of mine. Yeah, that's a whole different beat. Doesn't sound like Latin music at all. Speaking of Latin, we talked about Santana earlier. Who could be more Latin than Santana? And he did a song on the same album as Soul Sacrifice first appeared, called Jingo. And this song starts with the conga drum with the habanero beat, just like Soul Sacrifice. It's got that. Whoops, let me do this. But the tresillo is up against it, and that's happening in the melody. Actually, it's got this against that habanero beat, and you hear it in the words too. Lo ba ba, lo ba ba, lo ba ba, lo ba, lo ba. Anyway. That's got a whole different feeling to it because of the driving conga drums in the back. I should mention that I first heard this song around 1961 or 62. It was circulating through the folk music community. It was an album called Drums of Passion by Babatunde Olatunji, and he had this just drums and vocals. That's all they had. No other instruments besides percussion. And I heard it live, an interesting story, in 1965 at the New York World's Fair. They were appearing in the African Pavilion. And I'm walking down to Midway, and there they are. I just about lost my mind. Stayed around for about an hour, although my friends all moved on. They didn't know what was wrong with me when I heard Olatunji. The most interesting thing, I think, is that evening when we left, we went out to the parking lot. This was in the World's Fair. New York World's Fair was in Flushing Meadows. It was right across from Shea Stadium. And that night, you could hear the screams from Shea Stadium. It was probably a half mile or a mile away. You could hear the screams in the night because the Beatles were performing their historic concert there. Anyway, speaking of the Beatles, bringing things up to date, you can hear the tresillo rhythm again in Steve Miller, "Fly Like an Eagle." That's from the '70s, and you can hear it in some funky stuff. A group by Cameo made a song called "Word Up." I think that was about 1980, or the early '80s anyway. And that also has a very strong traceo rhythm to it. So right now I'm going to do a song that I wrote. This is an original I wrote about New Orleans, expressing how I feel about that city. I'm not really from New Orleans, I say that in a song, but it's just that Jan and I go there every year. We went there the year before Katrina, and we fell in love with the city. Then Katrina put a damper on things for a couple of years. We know about disasters putting dampers on things nowadays anyway. But we go back every year, and I figure I was qualified because of that love for the city to write a song about it. And let me put this up, sing it for you here. It's got that traceo thing going again. I'm going back in New Orleans. I can hear it, it's calling my name. Here is fine, but I'll thank you just the same. This ain't doing it for me. Going back in New Orleans. That city feels like falling in love. I thank my lucky stars up above. New Orleans is my home. Gotta love it down on Bourbon Street. Those college girls, they look so sweet. And the cobblestones beneath my feet smell like beer and anticipation. The brass band marching down Treme. The way it feels down in the old Monterey. Music playing on Frenchman Day would bring a smile and restoration. Going back to New Orleans. That's it. I hear it calling my name. Here is fine, but I'll thank you just the same. This ain't doing it for me. I'm going back to New Orleans. That city feels like falling in love. I thank my lucky stars up above. New Orleans is my home. I love to sit by the riverside. That Mississippi so strong and wide. Take a ferry to the other side, so I can feel that water flowing down by the shore. Lake Pontchartrain with a stick of that sugar cane. Pretty soon I'll be feeling no pain. Come on, we ought to be going back to New Orleans. I can hear this calling my name. Here is fine, but I'll thank you just the same. This ain't doing it for me. Going back to New Orleans. That city feels like falling in love. Thank my lucky stars above. New Orleans is my home. I thank my lucky stars up above. New Orleans is my home. Stars up above. New Orleans is my home. Well, all right, that sounds good to me. Going back to New Orleans. I hope maybe we'll go back soon. Now, the blues. Let's talk about the blues. This is one of those main roots. We talked about how rock and roll, the roots are considered to be of rock and roll, country music, gospel, and the blues. The blues has triplets just like the traceo. We're talking triplets. We're talking 3 against 2 or 3 against 4. What the blues does, if you take a 4-beat bar, a 4-beat measure of the blues, and you break those 4 beats, each one, into triplets, you do 4 sets of 3. So now you've got 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3. Now, if you take those triplets and you accent the 3rd note of each one, then you get something that sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 3, 3. And that's got a bounce. That's got a swing to it. and that's the sound of the blues, the sound of swing. Those triplets are all important. So now I'm going to do a New Orleans rock and roll song, sung by the influential composer and singer and pianist Fats Domino. And he wrote a lot of great songs. He recorded in New Orleans, and but I'm going to take his song and I'm going to do it as a straight blues song, just acoustic blues. Blue Monday, how I hate Blue Monday. I gotta work like a slave all day. Here comes Tuesday, you know it's a bad news day. I'm so tired, I got no time to play. Here comes Wednesday, I'm beat right down to my socks. If my gal calls, better tell her that I'm out. 'Cause Thursday is a hard working day, and Friday I get my pay. And Saturday morning, oh, Saturday morning, all my tiredness gone away. Got my money and my honey, we're going out on the streets to play. Sunday morning, my head so bad. It was worth it for the times that we had, but I got to get my rest, 'cause Monday is a mess. The blues. Now, we're going to do it Fats Domino style. We're going to add the piano, which was his main instrument, and which is Jan's main instrument. And when we get to that Saturday morning, listen to we're talking about 4 threes to the bar, those triplets. Jan will be playing those in her right hand, and in her left hand the whole time she's going to be playing a sort of stylized habanera rhythm. Ain't that right? Blue Monday, I hate Blue Monday. I gotta work like a slave all day. Here comes Tuesday, oh Tuesday. I'm so tired, I got no time to play. Here comes Wednesday, I'm beat to my socks. If my gal called, better tell her that I'm out. 'Cause Thursday is a hard working day, Friday I get my pay. And Saturday morning, oh Saturday morning, all my tiredness is gone away. Got my money and I got my honey, going out on the street to play. Sunday morning, my head is bad, but it was worth it for the good times that we had. But I got to get my rest, so bad, but it was worth it for the times that we had. But I got to get my rest, 'cause you know Monday's a mess. All right, now that we've looked at the Traceo rhythm and the habanero rhythm, we're going to look at a third rhythm pattern, which is called the clave. Clave means key, and it's sort of a keystone in many rhythms. The clave is related closely to a tradition called hambone. Hambone is a dance, a method of playing percussion and a song, and this all was descended directly from the Juba dance. The Juba dance came from the Congo. It's a dance that came in through Charleston, South Carolina, and also through New Orleans via the Caribbean. And basically what's going on here is people had to keep rhythm somehow, and they did it with their hands and their body. They're slapping and clapping, making their rhythms like that. Hambone, hambone, where you been? Round the world and back again. What you gonna do when you get back? Gonna walk down by the railroad track. Hambone, hambone, have you heard? Papa buy you a mockingbird. If that mockingbird don't sing, Papa gonna get you a diamond ring. And if that diamond ring don't shine, gonna take it back to the five and dime. And if the five and dime it's closed, gonna buy you a nanny goat. Yeah, hambone, hambone, where you been? Up your house and gone again. Anyway, I'm not a great hamboner, but that's a little demonstration of that. So the clave rhythm comes right out of that. I'm going to play a little bit of washboard too. Again, nobody ever pays me to do these things. I'm not a professional by any means, although at one time I did play washboard with a Dixieland band. So these dance rave-ups were taking place at Congo Square. You remember we talked about Congo Square, which happens to be nowadays Louis Armstrong Square, just off Rampart Street in New Orleans. That's where all these rhythms came together. They got to meet each other, and then they exchanged pleasantries, one rhythm with another. So the Traceo rhythm is half of the clave rhythm. I'm going to count the Traceo rhythm, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 4, 7. 1. Okay, now we're going to do it faster. It's there's Traceo. Now, the second half of the clave, you have the Traceo in the front, and then you accent 3 and 5, so it's so you have now the washboard is found a lot in New Orleans. This is probably another case of saving money. If you want to make percussion, you can buy a washboard for 15 bucks, and it's a lot cheaper than trying to get a set of drums or any kind of a drum. So washboard's very popular there, and some of the movements of my hands are similar to the hand bone. There's a lot of tap dancing down in New Orleans, and I wonder if that's related to the hand bone too. That rhythm is heard everywhere, Nola, down on the streets. It's a setting for children's games, children's rhymes, hand clapping games. So you hear it all the time in New Orleans. I got a gal in Baltimore, little Liza Jane. Streetcar runs right by her door, little Liza Jane. And I got a gal in New Orleans, little Liza Jane. You ought to see her dancing in new blue jeans, little Liza Jane. Singing, whoa, Eliza, little Liza Jane. Singing, whoa, Eliza, little Liza Jane. Singing, whoa, Eliza, little Liza Jane. Whoa, Eliza, little Liza Jane. So here's that clave beat. And there's the children's song, that children's rhyme used to that clave beat. A lot of New Orleans groups have recorded it just like that. Just taking nonsense lyrics and letting the groove do the work. Now down in New Orleans there's a standard song that you've probably heard. It goes like this. My flag boy and your flag boy sitting by the fire. My flag boy told your flag boy gonna set your flag on fire. About hey now, Iko ande, Giacomo Fino anande, Giacomo Finande. Talk about hey now, yeah, Iko ande, Giacomo Fino anande, Giacomo Finande. See that queen all dressed in red, Iko ande. Bet you $5 she'll kill you dead, Iko ande. Talk about hey now, Iko ande, Giacomo Fino anande, Giacomo Finande. Talk about hey now, Iko ande, Giacomo Fino anande, Giacomo Finande. Those might seem like nonsense lyrics, but there's a lot of meaning behind them. We'll talk about that in a minute. But what I want to talk about now is how many songs are using this here clave beat. Here's another one that comes right out of children's games. It comes out of patty cake, hand clapping games. I know a cat named Way Out Willie, and a cute little girl named Rockin' Billy. She can walk and stroll and Susie Q. Do that crazy hand jive too. Hand jive, hand jive, hand jive. Do that crazy hand jive. Yeah, it's a children's game. And that song was made a hit by a guy named Johnny Otis. He had a rock and roll review show. You want to take things full circle? You know who Johnny Otis took on tour with him and used to back her up? Big Mama Willie Mae Thornton, the Hound Dog Queen. So here's another song that uses this beat, a variation of this beat. It came from Lubbock, Texas, just a few hundred miles west of New Orleans. Picked up by a guy named Buddy Holly, and he did this one. I'm gonna tell you it's gonna be, you're gonna give your love to me. Bop, 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 bop. Love lasts more than one day. Bop, 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 bop. Love and not fade away. Bop, 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 bop. Said love and not fade away. Later on, the Rolling Stones did a much harder version of it. straight ahead. My love is bigger than a Cadillac. I try to know you drive me fast. Your love for me has got to be real. Oh, you know just how I feel. Said love is real and I feel away. Said love is real and I feel away. Yeah, yeah. Now, of course, the king of this beat, the clave beat, is a guy who they named it after. People started calling it the Bo Diddley beat. Bo Diddley, Ellis McDaniel, took this beat and made a career out of it. Made a lot of songs that had this beat. Of course, his big hit was Bo Diddley buys baby diamond ring. If that diamond ring don't shine, you better take it to private eye. If that private eye can't see, you better take that ring from me. Up your motor where you've been, up your house and gone again. Bo Diddley, have you heard? My pretty baby said she would burn, yeah. You might notice these lyrics are very similar to the lyrics to Hambone. That's what Bo Diddley did. He just took the lyrics to Hambone, made a rock and roll song out of it. It was a hit everywhere. He had a bunch more too. He had Mona, Mona, yeah, Mona, oh, Mona. And of course, he had made a hit out of a Willie Dixon song, went like this: 47 miles of barbed wire, use a cobra stick for a necktie. Got a brand new house on the roadside, made out of rattlesnake hide. Got a brand new chimney made on top, made out of human skull. Come on, take a little walk with me, baby, and tell me who do you love? Say, who do you love? Who do you love? Yeah, who do you love? Who do you love? Move forward a couple of years and get a guy named D. Clark going. Hey, little girl in a high school sweater, gee, I'd like to know you better. 'Cause swinging your books and chewing gum, looking just like a juicy plum. Hey, yeah, 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 little girl. Said, hey, little girl. Said, hey, hey, little girl. And then we had the British invasion. I just mentioned the Rolling Stones. Here's an odd one. Most people don't realize that Donovan made a song with this beat, and it was copied by other bands. A year or two after he made it, the Animals made a copy of it. It's called Hey Jim. Buy you a Cadillac, buy you a Cadillac, buy you a Cadillac, and just give me some of your love. Please give me some of your love, yeah. Van Morrison did one. Called Mystic Eyes. That night I went walking down by the old graveyard. It was dark in the light, greeted by a pair of mystic eyes, mystic eyes, mystic eyes, mystic eyes. Yeah. And so many more. You can find it everywhere. Crazy place. places you'll find the clave beat. I Want Candy by the Strange Loves. Cat Stevens. There's a Cat Stevens song that has it in a mild form. And Bruce Springsteen. And She's the One. Hey, she's the one. That's right. It's that clave beat. You look at a baby diamond ring. If that diamond ring don't shine, he gonna get you right on. Hey, boy, diddly, oh, diddly, yeah. Clave beat. Make you move your feet. All right. So that's the clave beat, done to death. I want to talk about something else. Right in the middle of that, you heard Iko Iko. I'm pretty familiar with that song. It was actually done without any music. It was done by a New Orleans group, an all-girl group called the Dixie Cups. They just did it with just percussion in the background, hand claps and so on. And the song, the lyrics you hear are referring to the Mardi Gras Indians. The Mardi Gras Indians is a tradition in New Orleans that started back around the turn of the century, or before that, 1880s maybe. Turns out that the Buffalo Bill Wild West show wintered down in New Orleans and did a lot of shows down there, which impressed many people, including the freed blacks that were down there. And also, another event that affected this was there were Buffalo soldiers, African Americans, they enlisted in the army, went out west, and saw the prairies and saw the Indians, and they brought their experiences with the Native Americans, those tribes and their traditions. They brought them back home with them. At any rate, people were impressed by the Native American costumes and their traditions, and the freed slaves started forming clubs in New Orleans. And these African American clubs modeled their outfits that they made after the American Indians. And they're called the Mardi Gras Indians because they march every year at Mardi Gras time. Back in the day when they first started, they would literally go out on the streets. They gave themselves names of tribes, not necessarily real Indian tribes, but their own names, their own cool names for them, including like the Zulu tribe. But anyway, some of them were African tribes too, but they dressed as Indians with lots of colorful feathers. But they'd go out on the streets and they would actually get in fights in the streets, try to establish their territory. And if they wandered off into a different neighborhood, trouble would be brewing. But nowadays, it's a whole different story. The outfits are beautiful, and what they do is they go out in the streets and they compete to see who's got the prettiest outfit. And they call it the best compliment you could give a Mardi Gras Indian is tell him he looks pretty. This was what was going on. Like when I sang the song, "See That Queen All Dressed in Red." Well, whatever her tribe was, their color was red, and Queen would be second in command. There'd be a flag boy that I talked about. The flag boy would come out and wave the standard of the tribe. Before him went the spy boy. He went out to make sure there was no trouble brewing, no other tribes that they were going to confront. If he saw any trouble, he'd call back a warning to the flag boy, and then pass that back to the king and the queen. Although they don't call him a king, of course they call him a chief, and he was called the Big Chief. So I'm going to do a song that I wrote utilizing the clave rhythm and about the Mardi Gras Indians. It's called Flag Boy Serenade. strutting down my block. Hey, flag boy, when you gonna make my neighborhood rock? You'll feel this in your cry when you come dancing by. You make us feel inside an overwhelming pride in you and the big chief. Better get out the way for the big chief. Giacomo Finane for the big chief. Two-way pocket way with the big chief. Hunate, hunate, hey flag boy, when you gonna be coming down the street? Hey flag boy, I hear him banging out a funky beat. The pride of the whole damn city. You're showing up to the pretty. Gonna be part of that second line. I know it's gonna feel so fine to see the big chief. Better get out the way for the big chief. Giacomo Finane for the big chief. Two-way pocket way for the big chief. Hunate, hunate, hey flag boy. Hunate, Giacomo Finane, hey flag boy. Hunate, my pocket, hey flag boy. Two-way pocket way. I said, hey flag boy, hunate. Giacomo Finane, flag boy, flag boy. Hey, hey, flag boy, better get out of the way for the big chief. Better get out of the way for the big chief. Giacomo Finane for the big chief. Two-way pocket way for the big chief. Hunate, hunate. Hey flag boy, hey flag boy, say hey flag boy, Giacomo Finane, Giacomo Finane, Giacomo Finane, Giacomo Finane, na na hey, hey flag boy, hey flag boy. A little bit of Flag Boy Serenade. We saw those Mardi Gras Indians on St. Joseph Day, and it's quite a sight to see them all decked out in their feathers, marching down that street to a funky beat. Anyway, I want to thank everybody who made this possible. Thomas Siegel. I want to thank my wife Jan for helping me out with the piano and every other thing. And I want you to know that we just scratched the surface on this, on the New Orleans music, the roots music. We only talked about 3 rhythms. There are more rhythms, there's melodies, there's harmonies that come out of New Orleans. So hopefully I'll get to do another one of these perhaps and cover some more territory. But I'm Bob Patetta right now. I'm going to say bye-bye.